I was looking at this tissue box the other day and thought, it looks like it could be a house, but like spooky. And even though I have well and truly missed October, it got me thinking about one of my favourite childhood films. Welcome to Midnight Hobbies, and today I'll be trying to make this tall glass of water from Monster House. Starting with some cheap foam board as well as the world's wobbliest ruler, I started measuring the tissue box to help bulk out the sides. And after peeling the paper off the foam in one seamless, after multiple attempts of peeling the paper from the foam, I cut it up into the pieces I had measured for the tissue box.
Trick or treat!
I then lathered each piece with hot glue and stuck them onto the sides of the tissue box. And after giving it a little spin, yep, it's still a box. Don't like that top though. I wanted to be able to remove the roof of the house to put tea lights inside for simple lighting, so needed to crack that top. I got started on the right eye protrusion of the house and thought this was a good time to just give up on my ruler and to start eyeballing everything from a single reference image I had on hand. And after finishing the rough shape, I sketched out where I wanted the window to go and cut it out. With a dab of hot glue, I stuck it on with the rest of the house, and would you look at that? It's a box with another little box. To finish off the window holes, I sketched out the other one and cut it as well. And it definitely didn't take me multiple attempts to sketch it out right, those extra lines are just for decoration. I also cut out the doorway as well as the wall behind the little eye protrusion just so any lights I do put inside could actually be seen. And with that all cut out, it was time to make a roof. Using some leftover cardboard packaging I had lying around, I began to cut out 2 trapeziums to act as the front and back panels of the roof. I also kept the 2 triangles on the side as I thought it would help glue the 2 pieces together. I also gave each of the panels a triangular indent up the top so that when they sat together it would naturally give the front of the house that furrowed look. And after fitting it together with some sticky tape to make sure it worked, I filled in the cracks with hot glue. Then with a leftover piece of cardboard packaging, I got started on the house's front portico. And once I was happy with its shape, I glued it on with an upwards curve in the middle. And I know it looks a little bit like a mustache right now, but it all works out in the end.
Smashing!
And with a couple more pieces of cardboard, I was able to finish the portico's wraparound. Saved it. I then realised I would need to remove a lot more of the wall behind the right eye in order for enough light to come through, so I decided to remove it with a jump cut. 1 and a 2 and a... Ah, perfect. Now it's looking good, but I think it needs some more tissue box. It was the perfect size for the porch, and by using the house as a point of reference, I was able to find the perfect fit. I also gave it a slightly curved base to further accentuate the look of a lower lip.
Nice.
And now moving back up to the roof, it was time to give the right eye its signature bushy eyebrow. With more cardboard packaging in hand, I sliced and diced until I had a perfectly sized trapezoid to make any possessed house happy. Though before attaching it to the rest of the roof, I gave it some support via popsicle sticks and hot glue. I also finished up the sides of the roof with larger triangles cut from pieces of tissue box cardboard. The side panels had a little bit of overhang that needed to be trimmed, but aside from that, both pieces of the roof were ready to be connected. I began recklessly cutting at the main piece for the smaller one to slide in, but then realised if I made an indent in the model for where I wanted the smaller piece to sit, it would be easier to cut around the main roof. So I did that. A perfect fit. Just don't look at those holes though.
I said don't look.
Fine, okay, you win. We'll fix them. Some more glue and packaging offcuts trimmed to size should do the trick. And that's the shape of it done. Now, did someone say chimney? I first cut out a piece in foam to find the right size and then continued to cut out the other 3 walls of the chimney in foam as well. And after a 90-degree trim to keep the corners clean when stuck together, I went in with the hot glue. A brick texture was then indented unmeasured with a pencil, and this was my only regret, as with the scale of the rest of the model, each of these bricks are the approximate size of a small child. We'll call it a happy accident. I then gave it some texture by jabbing it with a ball of bunched up foil and glued it onto the roof. Those eyes look dead, so with a bit of foam sheet and small pieces of popsicle sticks, we can give them a bit more life. Great. Now it's time to make some shingles, but I'm not sure how much cardboard packaging I have left. Oh, thank you. I drew up the lines of the shingles with a popsicle stick and textured it with the end of my hobby knife to give it some grain. I then cut each tile along a strip, bending them in alternating directions and shortening the bottom ones to give some spice to the shingles, a technique I've seen many crafters use before instead of doing each one manually. Then it was just a matter of using some PVA glue to stick down each row of shingles. The only problem I faced was keeping the corners clean, but I found that if I gave that shingle a small triangular cut, I could bend it into a seamless corner along the edge. And with the roof done, it was time to give that mustache some bristles, using the exact same technique as used for the roof. And here's the house with all the shingles done, and with that out of the way, it's time to give it some wood. I used masking tape stuck to my cutting board to stick down a whole bunch of long popsicle sticks. I then stabbed at the sticks a couple of times with a box opener just to give the texture a bit more flavour. Then using a hobby knife, I sliced them in half just so they were a bit easier to snack on. Then it was just a matter of cutting and gluing them all to the house. I did run out of sticks occasionally and had to keep making more, but don't think about that as you enjoy this montage of wood laying. Beautiful. Now that it's actually looking like a house, it's time to give it a base coat. So using my favourite crafting bowl, I mixed together some black acrylic paint and Mod Podge. I coated the whole model with the mixture, and once that had dried, I primed it up with a flat black spray paint. Then on to painting. There isn't really much to this step, as most of it was different levels of dry brushing, but I started off with a soft grey for the wood and a dark grey for the shingles. Then a dry brushing of fawn as the peeling paint, topped off with some white. And for the shingles, a dry brushing of soft grey, which I also used for the chimney. Now, it's looking good, but I feel like something's missing.
Reg! Me teeth!
Oh, of course. After a quick orthodontic checkup and many popsicle sticks later, the house was given its signature pearly whites, which then received the same paint job as the rest of the wood. Then as some last little touches, some plastic takeaway containers cut into window panels glued behind each frame, and some baking paper trimmed as blinds. And before I called it done, I realised I only wanted the light to be seen out of the windows, not the door. This was simply done by trimming a piece of black paper I had on hand and then gluing it in to block the light from reaching the door frame. I also glued it at an angle to stop the paper from being clearly visible from the door frame, as I liked the implication of a black abyss behind those teeth. Then after I turned on some tea lights and threw them in, it was time for the glamour shots. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments if there are any other builds you'd like to see in future videos. I've got some ideas I'd like to tackle, but till then, thank you for watching and hope to see you again soon.